That was a live look at Jay Onrait as it's a Monday in June, which means no Jay. It's just SportsCenter with and Dan, brought to you by McDonald's, the at-home edition, as we begin our 10th week of shows from home, if you can believe it. Hope you had a great weekend. I changed approximately 350 diapers. So hopefully yours was better than that. Depending where you are in this great country of ours, your province is probably in a new phase of reopening. Some restaurants opening in certain parts, hair salons opening up. We all need those. The NHL, guess what? They're entering into phase 2 of reopening. 16 teams are going to open up training facilities. So there's restrictions on how many players. They have to follow the protocols set in place. So the Oilers and Leafs are on that list. Let's hear from the Oilers.
Today, I kind of had that same feeling of my first training camp, not knowing. I mean, obviously we had guidelines and that sort of thing, but there's people there to help us through and make sure we're doing the right things to stay safe and wearing masks and proper hygiene and that sort of thing. So it was exciting to get back to the rink, but it was a different feeling. A lot of things we had to do in order to be safe and enjoy the facility. Some people can get out there and pick up where they left off, but I'm just speaking for myself. It's if I'm off the ice for 2 days, it feels like I've never skated in my life before. So 3 months was a little nerve-wracking, but I felt a lot better than what I expected.
5 players took to the ice on day 1 of Phase 2 here in Edmonton. Oiler regulars Chris Russell, Matt Benning, and Alex Chason, and American Leaguers Tyler Benson and goaltender Stuart Skinner. Now, it's been quite the process getting the facility ready. This is the guideline that the NHL sent out to all of its teams, and it is extensive. 21 pages of guidelines that need to be followed. Some of the highlights include players going through pre-participation medical exams. They have temperature checks within 2 hours of entering the building. They are asked to social distance inside whenever possible and wear face coverings at all times except when exercising, and of course hand washing. And just to give you an idea how specific this is, on page 12, players are told to sing happy birthday twice while washing their hands. One other interesting element of Phase 2 to keep in mind: once a group of 6 players is established, that group has to stay together all the way until the end of Phase 2. No new players can be added or swapped out of those groups. As we know, in the summer, a lot of players like to skate with their line mates or their D partners. So it'll be interesting to see in the coming weeks if Leon Draisaitl wants to skate with his line. Well, they'll have to time getting back to Edmonton and starting Phase 2 together so that all happens simultaneously. The expectation is, as training camp dates for Phase 3 are announced, more players will return to their NHL cities. Ryan Rishaug, TSN, Edmonton.
As the same time as Phase 2 happens in the NHL, you continue to have protests over the death of George Floyd across North America. They're closing in on 2 weeks of protests now, and it's getting a lot of people talking and even more people listening. So it's very interesting that 7 current and former NHL players have created the Hockey Diversity Alliance. What will their goal be? Here's Kara and Rick Westhead.
Rick, how exactly did this coalition come together?
Well, we remember last November when Akim Aliu told his story publicly in the Players Tribune. And I had a chance last night, late Sunday night, to talk with Akim and with Evander Kane about their plan for this coalition. And they said that after Akim went public last November, they all started talking about this, the 7 members of this coalition that you mentioned. And it just built up steam, and they had a chance to ask Colin Kaepernick, the National Football League quarterback, for some advice and guidance, and he jumped on a recent conference call with the players, told them a little bit about his story and his journey and maybe the best ways to affect change. And, here we are, 7 current and former players, like you said, Akim and Evander Kane, Chris Stewart, Matt Dumba, Wayne Simmons, a really, really interesting and eclectic group from the perspective of age and experience, for sure.
Now, what sort of initiatives is this alliance hoping to tackle?
Well, they're looking to have a charitable arm to do some fundraising. I asked them about that, and they preferred at this point to talk in generalities. You know, they don't even have a website created yet. But what they did talk about was really trying to broaden the diversity of people in powers of position within the game of hockey. Coaches, general managers, you know, presumably owners one day. They also talked about establishing a mentorship program where young players who are targeted with racial slurs and they don't know where to go will actually have an outlet now. So, you know, I think those two, in terms of an underpinning, those are two of the goals that they have in the short term.
Okay, so certainly a lot of work still to be done, but some serious steps in the right direction. We thank you very much for your time, Rick.
We, the National Football League, condemn racism and the systematic oppression of Black people. We, the National Football League, admit we were wrong for not listening to NFL players earlier and encourage all to speak out and peacefully protest. We, the National Football League, believe Black lives matter. I personally protest with you and want to be part of the much-needed change in this country.
And Donald Trump saw that message from Roger Goodell. He tweeted out, could it be even more remotely possible that in Roger Goodell's interesting statement of peace and reconciliation, he was intimating that it would now be okay for the players to kneel or not to stand for the national anthem, thereby disrespecting our country and our flag. Oh, the kneeling during the anthem debate. It's very much alive thanks to the President of the United States. And with more on the anthem debate, ESPN's Louis Riddick.
I think at some point in time, they're going to have to make it be known where they stand on this issue. And I think that first and foremost, they owe it to the players to really clarify what they mean when they say that they hear them and that they were wrong and that they do, in fact, support the players in their efforts to bring, you know, attention to systemic racism and social injustice and police brutality. And if the players then so choose to go ahead and peacefully protest by taking a knee during the national anthem, they need to then make it clear to them that they support them. I think that is where their focus needs to remain. That's where the commissioner's focus seems to be. And that's where ultimately the owner's focus is going to have to be. They're going to have to hear the players. They're going to have to address the players. And they're going to have to declare whether or not they support the players if, in fact, they do decide to protest via kneeling during the national anthem, as AD already explained that they are getting ready to do. So I think that's where their focus needs to be. They don't need to go ahead and kind of veer, I don't believe, any further outside of that realm right now. They need to really make sure that they are in lockstep with their partners, and by partners, I'm referring to the players, and then go from there.
U Sports, Canada's University of Sports governing body, announced it has cancelled 6 2020 fall championships due to COVID-19. The affected championships include women's field hockey, men's and women's cross-country running, men's and women's soccer, women's rugby, and football, including the Vanier Cup. Coming up, are we going to see baseball? We still have no clue. Just grab a beverage. With no Jay doing a show solely, I do a lot more talking. Hi. Major League Baseball. So golf is coming back. Major League Baseball, they're the same place they've been this entire time. Other leagues are starting the gears turning. Major League Baseball, they can't find the gears as they continue to go back and forth with ideas that no one really likes. Well, I guess one side probably likes the idea to pass the idea to the other, but then the other side doesn't like. You know what a negotiation is like. I don't think I have to tell you that. Okay, so Major League Baseball, they have a new proposal. They made an updated proposal to the players on Monday, moving to have a 76-game season with players getting 75% of their prorated salaries. The proposal includes eliminating draft pick compensation for free agents for a year, and the deal would also include a $200 million postseason pool for the players. The proposal would see the season end no later than October 31st. Is this reason for optimism? I don't know. Steve Phillips, you answer that, please.
I have to say I'm a bit more hopeful than I was last week when the owner said no more offers. We're not making a proposal to the union. We're not going to counter their deal, but they went ahead and did it anyways. I like it. Here's what I like about the deal, too. 75% of prorated salaries. Now, it's not the 100% the players want, but it's more, and the net amount is still more to the players than that first proposal the owners made a couple of weeks ago. I also like the fact that they took away draft pick compensation for free agents in the offseason, allowing those free agents to go out there and negotiate with everybody, and I think get better deals that could be worth millions of dollars to them. Now, the players may balk at a couple things. The owners want them to sign a waiver to assume risk and responsibility of playing during the crisis. I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker. What could be a deal breaker, though, is that the owners only want to guarantee 50% of the prorated salaries. They want the other 25% to be contingent upon the completion of the playoffs. That revenue from the playoffs is a big part of what the owners are going to use to pay the players. It's worth about $30 million per team. If they lose it, they can't pay the players those salaries, so there's got to be some protections for them. They want it in the deal. Look, it's not a deal to be made right now, but it's a step forward. Time for the players to counter. I'm hopeful there's some middle ground to find.
Time now for Who Delivered, presented by McDelivery. On this day in 2002, Serena Williams beat her sister Venus for her first French Open title, kicking off the Serena Slam, which saw her win all 4 majors in a row. 2002. Serena Williams definitely delivered. 2002, that's when I started at TSN. I am old. All right. Time for You Blew It. We look at our errors in the Fight Night promo for the UFC this weekend. That's on TSN. I meant to say Cynthia Calvillo. I said Cynthony. Pretty cool name. You can use it. Just give me credit. The tall guy. He's back on tomorrow's show with us. See you then.